Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 12 Talk podcast. My name's Josh. This here is Mitch. We have been away for a couple of weeks because it's British summertime and, well, it's the off season. There's not a lot to talk about, but we finally got some news. We have got some of our second round picks, both of our second round picks that have re-signed. And we're also going to be going through a little bit of bubble trouble. We've got two fantastic guests. We've got a returning guest in Jonas Chris from the German Seahawkers, and we have a new guest, Chris Rude, who is a UK Seahawker, but a Seattle native, who has come all the way across the pond, joined the UK Seahawkers, and we met him in Glasgow. He's an absolute dude. So we are going to be going through all that with you. Now, if you are new to the pod, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You can also join our Discord. It is free. The link is down below. Mitch, it's down below. And you can come and join us and Seahawkers from all over the world, just talking Seahawks as the season starts to ramp up. You can also let us know if you want to come on the pod. We're more than happy for that. So I'm going to hit the intro music. We are going to bring the boys in. We're just going to have a quick 45 seconds just to enjoy this intro because it's been so long. So let's do this. We're back. That's the music. We are in now. And before we start, I'd like to say a massive thank you to the new sponsor of our podcast, Flying V. So those of you who don't know, we had Flying V on the other week, and they're going to be sponsoring this podcast, and they're going to be making the most effort possible to get some fantastic Seattle sports goods at really reasonable prices for all of our UK listeners and European listeners as well. So these are just a couple of the current things they've got. Lovely Mariners jersey, Seahawks hoodie, the Seahawks jacket, that Sean Alexander jersey. You've got a B-Wags jersey. There's currently 2 Metcalf jerseys on the website and a lovely Sonics jersey and the Seahawks hat. There will be more and more coming, I have been told, with confidence. But don't just take it from what we've said there. I too have been on the website. I've used our discount code 12Talk, got 20% off my order, and I got me a
is a beauty
Supersonics jersey. That is going with me to Why Not Festival. I'll be wearing it whilst I'm DJing. I'm hoping the weather is not as grim as it has been over the last couple of days here in the UK. But without further ado, Mitch, we talk a lot. Should we bring our guests on? Because I'm excited to get down to the news and also talking about this 53-man roster construction and who might be on the bubble.
Let's do it.
So, without further ado, let's welcome in returning guest Jonas Chris of the German Seahawkers and new to the pod, but not new to ourselves or the Discord, Chris. Welcome in, guys.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Now, it's great to have you guys on. Jonas, obviously, you've been on multiple times now. You know, you are our German Seahawker correspondent and substitute host as well when Mitch or I aren't available. But Chris, this is your first time on. And as we are a podcast for 12s, to give you a platform to talk 12s. We've spoken a lot over Discord. Like I said, we met you in Glasgow and it was awesome to meet you. But for those who don't know, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, why you're a Seahawks fan and what you love about this team?
Sure. Thank you. A pleasure to meet everyone there as well. It was great to be a part of this new community over here. Moved over about a year ago from Seattle with my family, and for the last 20 years or so, I've been a season ticket holder. Been to every Seahawks home game, a couple away games. Tried to get to one every year. Really enjoyed kind of the process of meeting everybody here. The Discord, like you mentioned, has been a big part of my life now. I'm constantly checking that, probably more than I should, but a lot of good entertaining stuff on there. So it keeps me busy throughout the day when I got some downtime. But yeah, I've been a Seahawks fan since I was a little kid, being a fan of Steve Largent and Paul Scanzi and all those guys back in the day, and thinking I could learn how to catch the ball like that. Never came to fruition, obviously, but didn't hurt my fandom at all. So I've been a huge fan my whole life. And I just love anything Seahawks as much as I don't know the X's and O's. I kind of feel like a bunch of experts around here, and I'm doing my own research, so I don't quite fit in as well. But I do get excited about this time of year because there's just so many unrealized potential that you want to see happen, and you really get excited getting to know the players and want them to be successful. And it's hard to see them go sometimes, but it's a good time of year.
Yeah, dude. Like I said, this is one of those part of the year where not a lot happens, but when it does, we all want to jump on it. And we've had some big news coming from the Seahawks camp, all surrounding our second round rookies, which we'll get into very shortly. But Jonas, how's everything over there with the German Seahawkers?
All good. Like you said, it's very quiet in our WhatsApp group and stuff like that because, yeah, like you said, there isn't a lot going on. Obviously, training camp starts next week, tomorrow. Yeah, you catch my drift. Yeah, but there's not a lot going on. But yeah, we're really looking forward to the season and keeping ourselves afloat with other Seattle sports. Like I got my trusty Mariners jersey on, which I got from Seattle, actually, not from Flying V. So shout out to the Big Jumper, who's maybe the biggest story in Seattle right now. Really looking forward to, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday, when's the first training, I think. Wednesday. Training camp starts at Tuesday, and Wednesday is the first day of real camp.
Yeah, Tuesday's all the meetings and introductory stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Laying the foundation again, and then it goes into the actual training camp, which I can't wait to see some of these videos.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are actually going to be using, even though things are quiet over in German Seahawker land, we are going to be using the German Seahawker roster builder to go through our bit of bubble trouble. But before we do
with
that,
fullbacks included.
Yes, with fullbacks included this time. But before we do that, we just appreciate it. We all like having a little play on it just to see exactly where we're at. And if you want to have a go as well, if you're watching or listening, again, the link is going to be down below. You can play with that at your own fruition. You can translate it into English. It's so easy, so user-friendly, but you'll see us using it very shortly anyway. But before we get into that, I really want to talk about these second-round rookies. So there's been holdouts throughout the league. There's a notable holdout from a first-round pick, but not for us, thank the Lord. But the second-round picks, thanks to the Houston Texans giving a fully guaranteed contract, every second-round pick, and also the Browns, every second-round pick is holding out for that. And we were no exception with Nick Hemingway and with Elijah Arroyo, both holding out. But news has now spread really fast that they have finally signed. Mitch, you've got the figures, haven't you, there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Eminori signed a 11.7 million fully guaranteed 4-year contract. So no surprises on it being 4 years, no surprises on it being 11.7 because that's predetermined. The real thing there is that it was a fully guaranteed deal, which was the first one the Seahawks have ever given to a second-round pick. The other thing to note there is at the point of paying Eminori that deal, there were 29 out of 32 second-round picks not signed. So we were the third team. No, we were the fourth team to sign our second-round pick, or first of our second-round picks, which then obviously leaves us on to Elijah Arroyo. It was reported by a few outlets that we'd given a fully guaranteed one there as well, but that wasn't true. What's actually come out is that his $8.8 million deal, $6.8 million of that is guaranteed. Again, no surprise on the term and the amount overall, because that is predetermined, but that is approximately 80% of the total for his 4-year contract guaranteed. That might seem high to people, but the last 2 picks the Seahawks took between 50 and 52, we paid 70 to 80% of that as guaranteed as well. So actually what we've ended up with Arroyo is bang on par for the way we've behaved with second round contracts around that area over the last 4 or 5 drafts. So Arroyo part, sorry to remove any news at a time where news is rare, but that was not overly newsworthy, apart from the relief that he is now signed and going to be at camp this week,
which is good. I mean, I don't know if I'm the only one here that thinks this, but when you're a young player coming into the league, the thing that you want is that guarantee. You know, any sportsman, especially in a contact sport, will tell you that your sporting career is short compared to anyone who works in finance, management, anything like that. So you want to try and recoup as much as possible. And some of these kids that come through, I can say that as a 41 or 40-year-old man now, some of these kids that come through, all it's going to take is a catastrophic injury for them to get in year 1, year 2, and they're never playing again. So I can see the logic behind it. I think it's one of those that it has taken a while to come through. But then you look at some of them that's still playing in college that have just signed a $4 million NIL deal. You know, if you're going to move up to the league, you need those reassurances. I don't know how everyone feels about this, but that's kind of where I sit with it. Anyone?
Yeah, I definitely, look at some of the other sports here. Jonas was talking about baseball and Big Dumper and all that, and you talk about how those contracts are just instantly guaranteed. You know, it's different without having the salary cap, the hard cap, but it is tough for these guys to have so much, insecurity, as much as they're going to be millionaires, and people kind of poo-poo that, but it is their one shot sometimes to make some money in the league. And if it doesn't pan out and it doesn't, they don't perform as they think they're going to, then they don't get that second shot. So I'm not totally against it, but it is interesting to see how it's going to reshape, how teams approach the salary cap kind of going forward with free agency, I think.
Yeah, agreed. Jonas, what are your thoughts?
So I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion now, thanks to the Texans, that the second round players or early second round players will be getting their contracts fully guaranteed. I don't know if anything came out why they did. I think it was Jaden Higgins they gave the contract to, why they did it, but about last year, I think it was 88% of the salary was guaranteed for the second round picks, so there wasn't a big jump. But obviously, if a player who's been drafted before you gets a fully guaranteed deal, your management is going to see it through that you get it as well. But I don't know where the cutoff point was. I think pick 43 was Alfred Collins to the Niners. He got about 88% guaranteed as well, so that's why Arroyo at 50 didn't get his or hasn't had his full deal guaranteed, because if you pay pick 43 like 88% and pick 50 gets like 100%, but
100.
Yeah. It was a pretty sweaty days for John Schneider, I think, because the main goal was to get all the players into camp, not have a Bengal situation. So they managed, and good to see.
I'm glad you brought the Bengals up, because I just want to go, what is happening at that organization? Shamar Stewart is just holding out so much. He's just like, I might just go back to Texas A&M and play another year.
Yeah, he come back to college.
Not play a year and just go into the 2026 draft. I can't remember another occasion where that's happened. And I think it's indicative of how that franchise is run. You don't sign someone like Trey Hendrickson because you refuse to pay all that money, even though he's one of the best edge rushers in the league. And you look at what, TJ Watt's just been paid. He's worth it. And then your first round pick, who you pick to go in tandem with him, goes, nah, I'm all right. I don't really want to be part of this organisation, if I'm honest. Like, at least we've not got that. Like,
Yeah.
like, look, I don't know a Bengals fan. Otherwise, I would be all over their DMs. I would be sending them every bit of media I could get my hands on about it. But that's basically. I mean, Mitch, what are your sort of thoughts about it in sort of general?
I think the whole NIL landscape has kind of gotten a little out of control, and it was inevitable that the NFL would be affected through, the way that the draft works. I think this is probably phase one of a number of things that are going to be effects going forward. I think anytime you've got people coming out of college football, arguably in some situations earning a lot less than if they'd stayed, you're going to have people questioning whether it is worth sticking it out on these contracts that pay you less. I mean, if you got drafted by a team you don't necessarily want to play for, you get in the building and you don't like the coaching staff, you don't like the town, all these things. Well, previously it didn't matter too much because you were starting your career, you were getting your first big payday, it was worth sticking it out for. As soon as what you had before you can go back to, and it was the town you liked, more money, that's the heads being turned now. So I do think we'll see some adjustments going forward with the league, but how they do that, I don't know. But in terms of guaranteed money for players, I'm never going to complain about players wanting more guaranteed money, because they put their bodies on the line and their future health and well-being on the line for our entertainment, which sounds barbaric, but in reality, that is what it comes down to. So I'll never think ill of any player that wants to just look after their future in that way. So
soccer players excluded from that. They don't put their health on the line. Just lots of hair gel. Right.
Going to Saudi Arabia.
So that, from what I can gather at the moment, is the news. There's not a lot else happening. We saw the rookies venture into the facility earlier on this week. I quite liked Jalen Milroe's comment when the QBs turned up to the VMAC. He was like, I'm usually better dressed than this. Like, okay, that's fine. No one really cares. You're going to training. But yeah, it's going to be exciting just watching training camp. I'm looking forward to it. But one of the main reason we're here is for this bubble trouble that we're going to be discussing. Now, we're going to use the German Seahawks roster builder, and luckily, as I've just added him back in, we have a German Seahawker here, Jonas. So would you like to tell everyone, whilst I prep this up, what the roster builder is and where they can find it?
Yeah, it's basically a tool not one of our guys, but our IT staff, I'd like to call them, build. It's just it's a fun thing to do for all Seahawks fans. So we have it on our website, germanseahawkers.com. You can find the roster builder, and you have it in German and English as well. So we can use it, and actually we are just updating it every year in the preseason at training camp to give Seahawks fans a chance to build their own roster, like the name suggests. And it's actually the players who are currently on the 90-man roster. So it's updated a lot. It's a lot of work, but I think it's a really nice tool, and it really gives a good background of how the team's gonna shake out come roster cuts when it goes down to 53. It's totally free, obviously, and you can share it on your socials. And just a thing here, I'm on my phone. Speaking of news, and the Seahawks just released NOAH FANT.
Wow! So NOAH FANT is not. I thought he was going to be on.
I just got a push notification on my phone.
The artwork for this pod has gone right up in the air because he is on the artwork. It's just like I knew, you know.
Yeah.
But he was one that I think everyone has thought might be on the bubble, purely down to the fact, like, is he fit for this scheme? Is, you know, based on the talent that we've just got, you've got someone like Arroyo who's been brought in, who essentially does everything that NOAH FANT does, if not slightly better, just with less experience. So with that, I wish we were live. We could have just watched that straight out. But yeah, so with that, the German Seahawks roster builder, the link will be down below in the episode description. We'll also pop it in our Discord as well. So if you're a member of the Discord and you want to get in the Discord, the link for the Discord's down below and you'll find it in there as well. But let's get started, boys. So, firstly, QBs. Now, are we carrying all three?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way they can get away with doing it any other way at this point.
No. So, Darnold, Locke, Milrow, you're all in there. So the way we're going to do this, we'll go through position by position. We're going to put those that are nailed on in, and then we'll go back round to do could be there or likely to be there, and then we'll go through the ones that we think are on the bubble. And we'll reason.
I wish I would have known about this before I did my my spreadsheet, because it was way more work than this thing. It looks awesome. Although I did just send a screenshot to Mitch. My only surprise cut was NOAH FANT on offense, so that was a pretty good guess on my part. Good timing.
Well,
thanks for confirming that. This
is the type of thing that you get with the 12 Talk podcast and being on our Discord, people that are on finger on the pulse. This is where you're going to hear all the text dinging now. Everyone's going to be like, "Oh, it's been released." So
yeah,
let's talk wide receivers, and we'll go to tight end shortly. So, are we in agreement that JSN and Cooper Kupp are 100% on this team?
Yeah.
I think when you look at MVS, Bobo, Sims, Young, Cody White, Ricky White III, Nate McCollum, Plumtree, Torrey Horton, do we think he's definitely in?
Yeah, Horton's in. Third round pick. Third round? Or
I think they have him listed as a punt
fifth
returner
round.
too.
Yeah.
Mitch, do you agree?
I do. I'm not going to be one to start saying that Torrey Horton's not making that roster.
Okay, so they're the three that we think are definitely nailed on. Running back, K9, nailed on.
Yeah.
Charbonnet, nailed on. And then you have Martinez, McIntosh, Halani, Jacardia White, and then the fullbacks, which are also included in the running back room, Brady Russell and Robbie Oots. So how many running backs are we carrying, boys? Are we going to carry all four?
I'd say they are going to carry all four, but because when they, my opinion is, if they cut Martinez or McIntosh, they're both gone via waivers. So you can't count on them being put on waivers. And I think the running game with like 21 personnel, sometimes 22 personnel from Clint Kubiak, you have to take 4 running backs, and 4 really good running backs who complement each other really well, I think.
I agree. What does everyone else think? Chris?
I tend to agree. I think that running back is probably a position that they might try to do some IR or PUP sort of work. You know, they try to make somebody have an injury that can probably make it through the first part of the season without having to be on the roster to kind of save that spot.
Well, are you saying that NFL teams fabricate injuries?
No, I would never say that. But if it was me, I would do that, because I don't want either of those guys to go.
Yeah, agreed. Mitch?
Yeah, it's four for me, and in this instance, it'll be 5 with Robbie Oots in there as well as fullback. I think the news with Fant probably means Brady Russell makes the roster as a tight end, but also backing up that fullback role. So I think it's 4 plus Oots for me.
Excellent. All right. So tight end, we don't need to discuss NOAH FANT. I think, like you said, we're definitely going to AJ Barner, I think, is nailed on.
Mitch's boy AJ Barner.
Mitch's boy AJ Barner. Let's give him his full title. Elijah Arroyo as well, nailed on. Do you agree with those two?
Yeah.
I think.
Can I just add in here? The German Seahawkers are so slow to update this. Noah Fant's been off the roster for 5 minutes and he's still on here.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Right, and then you've got Eric Silber as well. He's up there. So what we'll do, we'll circle back round to those as well. Then we have to look at the O-line. And shall we start from left to right as our starting O-line? So starters is Charles Cross, Gray Zabel.
Definitely.
And then it's either going to be Oluwatimi or Sundell. Okay, but for the purpose of this, we'll put Oluwatimi. And then right guard, it's either going to be Christian Haynes or Anthony Bradford. I think they'll both make it. But Haynes for definite, and then Abe Lucas. That's your starting offensive line. Now, they're definite. We'll circle back to who might be backing up. I think that's probably the best way of doing it. Defense. Linebackers. Ernest Jones, Tyrese Knight. Boye Mafe. Is Boye Mafe definite, do you think? Contract year? Not going to try and move him?
Yeah.
Derek Hall. And Chenna Nwosu.
Who is on the not the POP list, but he's
POP.
He's okay. So
Okay. And
but he's obviously on the roster,
Yeah. So for the purpose of this, we'll put him on there. And the rest we'll come to in the likely and bubble situation, unless there's anyone on that list that you think is definitely there. No?
Not right now.
Cornerbacks, Witherspoon, Woolen.
Get rid of him.
Yeah, Woolen. And then you have Job, Griffin, Pritchett, Williams still. I just Waxter, John Charles, Tyler Hall, and then Zay Alexander, who's also been put on the PUP list. Apart from those two, who else do you think is nailed on?
Job is a definite. I don't think there's any way because they worked so hard to keep him on the roster last year. I think that they're going to keep him around.
Yeah. Do we agree?
Yeah. And I think Shaq Griffin as well, who's missing a picture, but
that's fine. We all know what it looks like. That's fine. So then that's 4 cornerbacks for definite. Safety, Julian Love. Yeah. Emin Wari, based on what we just discussed. Yeah. Kobe Bryant.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you've got Anthony Bell, Jarrett Reed II, AJ Finley, and Ty Okada, which I think are the ones that we'll probably be circling back to.
Yep.
D-line. Big Cat.
Yep.
Big Cat.
Yeah. Byron Murphy II, Jaron Reed, DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yep.
And then remaining, you've got Jonathan Hankins, Brandon Peely, Mike Morris, Quentin Bohanna, J.R. Singleton, Riley Mills, who I believe is also on PUP, Bubba Thomas, and Antoine Campbell.
I think Hankins.
Anthony
Campbell. So
Hankins you can lock in.
Yeah.
You think
I
so?
don't see a way. I don't think there's a way we roll out without an experienced nose. I can't see it. He was good when he played last year. I know he shared the role, but I don't think they'll put Murphy in so many of those situations this year. And I think there's just no other player on that roster that competes with him for snaps if he makes that roster and stays healthy. For me, like in that pool of players we've not put in the roster.
Okay. Special teams, kicker, J-Mai, punter, Michael Dixon, long snapper, Chris Stoll.
Yeah.
There you go. That's nice and easy. So, gentlemen, we're at 38 out of 53. So, shall we go back to the offense? And let's talk wide receivers. Currently, we've got 3 nailed on, which leaves us with MBS, Bobo, Sims, Young, White the third, McCollum, Plumlee, Foster Jr. and Broden. Chris, I'll start with you. Out of those remaining wide receivers, who do you think is likely to make the roster?
I think MVS, just because of the connection with Kubiak, and I think Bobo is going to be there just because I think he's been seen to have good relationship with Darnold so far. Also, he's a family favorite. My kid got a chance to hang out with him a little bit and meet him at the draft party last year in Seattle,
Awesome.
and that was a big moment for us. So just super nice guy personally, and I hope nothing but the best for him, even though he's getting married, which good luck, buddy. And see how it goes from there. But yeah, I think that those two guys, one for personal reasons, one's for a personal connection, I think, to the new OC is the two for me that I have locked in at least.
Okay. Jonas, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd say so as well. I think in recent years the Seahawks, I think, always took at least 6 receivers. But speaking of the Kubiak scheme, with more 21 personnel, and looking at the tight ends you got, and also the fullbacks like Robbie Oots and Brady Russell, if he makes the roster, can catch the ball as well. So I think they're gonna stick with 5, because the other ones like Derek Young, Cody White, Ricky White the third, he's a real special teams ace. That's why they drafted him. But I think they can be slipped through waivers better than the running backs can. So I think they're gonna stick with these 5.
Mitch?
I agree with that completely.
See, MVS would be the one that I could see. They might go, depending on how training camp is, they might think that he is. I don't think he. Depending on how Torrey Horton goes, they may go, actually, you surplus to requirements.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's my only caveat with that. Apart from that, I do agree. I think the connection that he's already got, with the new LC Kubiak, I think that'll lend to it, and we do need someone who's a proven field stretcher, whether he can catch or not, just to be able to take some of those cornerbacks and safeties out of the game. So, okay, we're locked in there. Running back, we'll tie in tight end with this, because I think we've all sort of said there. Brady Russell will go in as a tight end / fullback.
Yeah.
Do we agree?
Yeah.
Perfect. And so, are we saying Sober, Callerup, and Lang are bubble worthy at the moment? We'll circle back to them.
Yeah.
Right. Then the O-line backup. We've now got Sundell, Maranguez, Anthony Bradford, Mike Gerald, Josh Jones, Satawa Lamea, Mason Richmond, I can never pronounce his surname. There you go. Bryce Cobble-Dew and Amari Knight. Who we think is likely to make this roster from them?
I think Sundell.
I was going to say, we'll start with Mitch on this one, and then we'll go down, change it around.
For me, Sundell, Josh Jones, Cabeldew, because of the perfect scheme fit, and Bradford being a guy with a number of years under his belt in the NFL are the obvious ones. I wouldn't be surprised if Richmond is the one who misses out or goes practice squad. Satoa Lamea's got a good chance of making it as well. That's my thoughts. Jarrell obviously is someone I really like, but he for me is the most bubbly lineman on this group. He could go either way.
I agree. What does everyone else think?
Yeah, I think Cabaldou makes it was as well, and Lomea played well last year. With Jarrell, I think I again got the problem with waivers. Like he's a project coming from Findlay, and I really like him. So I don't know if you can sneak him through waivers. I'd like to the Seahawks to take all three, like Laumeier, Jarrell, and Cabaldou, to bolster this O line and give it a bit more depth.
Okay, Chris.
I think the total number is going to be 10, just based on kind of how I feel like the roster is going to shake out. But I had Jarrell, Laumeier, Sundell, Bradford, and Jones out of that group. And then I think kind of on the bubble with that last Jarrell spot was Cabaldou and Richmond, just kind of to see how it goes in camp and how everybody works together, because that is such a big deal. And that spot obviously is the most important one. And that's one of those ones too, where if you're really, down to the spot where you're on your second or third string left tackle, it's not going to matter.
Yeah. Right, look at the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. They were down to a guard playing at left tackle, and it can just derail your season. So we're saying Sundell definite as a backup centre.
Yeah.
Yep. Excellent. And then Josh Jones, our swing tackle.
Swing tackle, yeah.
And then we said, so I think was it unanimous for Laumeier being in?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Especially with the work he did in the off-season, he's been doing in the off-season as well with Lucas. I think that's the reason he's been working with him, is so he can learn to work in tandem, because he probably knows that it's a position up for grabs. So then you've still got, did we say Anthony Bradford?
Yep.
Yeah, he when listening to Brian Emhauser, I think he was really impressed of how he performed in OTAs, because he really stepped up his game. He's changed his body a lot. He's a lot more athletic, he said. So I think they're gonna take him as well.
Okay, which then leaves, I think, so for the bubble then we're definitely gonna be looking at Jarrell and Cabaldou. Yeah, perfect. Right, move on to defence, because we are at 45 out of 53 now. So we have 8 left. Linebackers. Yeah. Now, the middle looks pretty sparse.
It does.
I'm going to be very honest. Which means I think we're definitely either going to be taking one from this crop, or we might see someone come in by a trade. So that leaves us with Pat O'Connell, Drake Thomas, Connor O'Toole, but he mainly plays on the edge, doesn't he, or outside? They're the only ones I could really think of. They're trying to make Jamie Sheriff an inside linebacker, but I'm not sure how I feel about that. Is there anyone that you think is likely to make this? So Jonas, we'll start with you, and then we'll come back to Chris as the rain is hitting his lovely conservatory roof.
I think I'm a bit. Connor O'Toole it's Mitch's guy as well. I think he's pretty high on him. I'm personally pretty high on Jared Ivey, and there's a lot of experts who were really surprised that he didn't get drafted, and the Seahawks really got a good sniped him from as a UDFA. So I'd say Drake Thomas as a middle linebacker backup, and then Jared Ivey, who can play both spots, but maybe more as an outside linebacker coming from the edge.
Okay. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Sure. Hopefully my mute button is working and keeping some of the rain sound out.
But, it was. Don't worry.
I had Josh Ross and Drake Thomas as my two, just because of the Josh Ross with the Ravens connection. I think kind of plays into it a bit, but I do really like the idea of Jared Ivey going forward, and I hope he sticks in some position, because I'd like to see what he can do. But That's one of those ones I don't pay too much attention to college, so I have a really hard time kind of projecting talent as it gets to this point. But he's a Seahawks, so I hope he does well. But yeah, those two guys for me, I think are my thoughts there.
Okay, and then Mitch, what do you think?
Yeah, it's really interesting because Jamie Sheriff nearly made the roster last year and went away and got NFL experience. So if he was close to making the roster last year, he's now less of an unknown entity at the NFL level. So he's got a better shot than last year, is what I'm trying to say, and he nearly made it. So I think that may well be something that happens. Drake Thomas, I think, is the obvious backup middle linebacker there. Unless we pick up someone in free agency after cuts, or make a trade, which I don't think we'll do a trade. It'll be a pickup of a veteran that gets cut from a roster. I think if we do that, I think he'll make the roster. So that's that. O'Toole or Ivy, one of those two, I think might make the roster. Both of them have extremely interesting ceilings. Both of them could well have been drafted. Both of them have their own concerns, one with athleticism, one with durability. So camp is going to be really important for both of those players. Connor O'Toole looks electric and fit, could make it. Jared Ivey makes some improvement with an NFL level, coaching staff and fitness team, strength and conditioning coaches, etc. He could then suddenly look an absolute lock as well. So those two are sharing the bubble for me, and I think Drake Thomas makes it in the absence of any other middle linebacker backup.
Yep, I agree. So Drake Thomas is in. We'll get around to the bubble very shortly then. Cornerbacks. So currently we have 4 on the roster. Is there anyone else you can see making a push as a likely before we get onto the bubble? You've still got Nehemiah Pritchett. We've got Williams. You've got Isaac Waxter, who Brian Nemhauser said on our pod he's really interested by. You've got Gene Charles, who was doing really well during OTAs. Tyler Hall and Zay Alexander, who's going to start on the pup anyway. Anyone you can see being likely, or are they all bubble worthy?
Pritchett for me.
Likely, Pritchett?
Yeah, I think of that crop of players, he's a known entity, albeit a player that didn't necessarily impress too much. But I think they like his profile and what he can be. I think they'll see a ceiling there for Pritchett that's a bit higher than the rest of that group. So when you are putting in someone to be CB5 on this roster, I think they'll choose ceiling. Just my take. He just jumps out for me for that room.
Okay.
That reason.
Chris?
I had Pritchett as well as my 5th cornerback there. I do think that just kind of being familiar with him more than anything plays for a lot, and I do think there's some room for some of those guys to slide through. There's just so many cornerbacks, it seems like, on waivers every year, and they all kind of fit that same size and height and everything that they're not necessarily going to be great on the outside. They're not quite a perfect fit for nickel, and it's really just finding a skills match or just something to do with the scheme. So I don't think that they're being here. I think they probably see them as a match for the scheme, but big picture wise, I think they could probably slide through the practice squad on some of those guys.
Okay. Jonas? You didn't look overexcited by Pritchett.
No, I'm not as excited about Pritchett after what he showed last year. I'm more on the Shamar Jean Charles train because he's got 5 years of league experience, and they picked him up from the Saints in free agency, and he's also a good contributor in special teams. Which, speaking about the 5th cornerback, I think is really a package you have to look at, because like you got your four starters, or 3 starters with Woolen, Witherspoon either outside or at nickel, and then Josh Jobe or Shaquille Griffin. And having Gene Charles as a special teams piece there as well has me getting Gene Charles in and Pritchett on the bubble.
Okay. Looks like we're coming back to cornerback then. Safety. Is there anyone else from the 4 remaining of D'Anthony Bell, Jarek Reed II, AJ Finley, or Ty Okada likely to make this roster, or are we thinking they're all on the bubble? Let's start with Jonas.
Yeah, I really like Jarek Reed because what he showed on special teams before he tore his ACL. I'd really like to see him because he was drafted by the Seahawks. But yeah, it's either him or D'Anthony Bell. And coming back to Jean Charles, D'Anthony Bell was one of the best special teams players in the league last year with the Browns. So that's why they picked him up from the Browns. So as much as I really like Jarek Reed, I think for like versatility, playing safety, he can Bell can play both safety spots. And having him as a special teams ace, I'd say D'Anthony Bell.
Chris?
I'll make it short because the rains make it difficult for me.
Wow.
I do think Jarek Reed is my guy on this one for the same reasons that Jonas said, but that's it. All right, I'm out.
Yeah. So for anyone who wasn't sure how bad the weather's been in the UK, Chris is showing and letting everyone listening to this on audio platforms know. Mitch, what are you thinking?
D'Anthony Bell, and it's a shame because Jarek Reed, when available, has been such a big contributor on special teams, and I think we're all looking forward to seeing him actually play. But I don't think, touch wood, we're going to need that much depth on the safety position this year. We've got Imanori, and we've got Love, and we've got Kobe Bryant that I think are going to be out there a lot. I think if you're picking someone for that room, get someone that is going to be a great regular contributor. You could say that's both, but injuries have dramatically curtailed Jarek Reed's availability. So D'Anthony Bell, I think, gets the nod for me there.
I will act as tiebreaker on this one, and I'm documented as being a Jarek Reed lover. I've said he reminds me of a young Quandre Diggs. He flies around. He doesn't hesitate to lay the wood on someone. He has just been hindered by injury. And if you look at them both, you look from a league experience standpoint. I mean, Reed's is in his 4th year now, and Bell has been in the league for 4 as well. And that's Reed's 3 years. It's his 4th now, isn't it? I think if Reed didn't make this active roster based on the fact that he came from a small school in New Mexico, also the fact of his injury history, you could stash him on a practice squad. Because pardon?
Just saying, you got more chance of it than D'Anthony Bell.
Yeah.
That's where I come in here. I think they'll likely take D'Anthony Bell, and I think there'll be quite a few 3 safety sets. When let's look at the depth at middle linebacker, I think there's going to be a lot of 3 safety sets in there. I think D'Anthony Bell's going to get it. So I'm going to act as tiebreaker on this and just say D'Anthony Bell. D-line. So we have got Brandon Peely, Mike Morris, Quentin Bohanna, J.R. Singleton, Riley Mills, Bubba Thomas, and Anthony Campbell left. Mitch, anyone you see there that is likely to get him?
Who's this Mike Morris guy? I've never heard of him.
Mitch's guy, Mike Morris. Mitch's boy.
Yeah, Mitch's boy, Mike Morris. I think Mike Morris makes the roster. However, I think he is the thinnest of thin ice in terms of what he shows before Riley Mills comes back off the PUP list. I think if Mike Morris gets a chance and doesn't take it with both hands, he becomes a prime candidate to lose his spot to Riley Mills. So yes, I think Mike Morris on there probably makes the squad on a provisional, with a provisional sort of caveat there.
Like on probation. Chris?
Yeah.
Oh, Chris is Oh, you still there?
Here.
Excellent.
So no, I agree. I'm a huge Mike Morris fan. I think he's the guy that I would want to see succeed there. And Riley Mills, I think obviously PUP guy. So I think that's the next step here on this for me.
Excellent. Jonas.
Yeah, I'd say so as well. Like you all said, if Riley Mills comes off the pup, I think Mike Morris is gone unless he really shines and contributes. And actually, I'm throwing a bit of a curveball here because we talked about Byron Murphy taking snaps at nose tackle. I don't think Mike McDonald wants to see him there anymore, and so I think because he really impressed in training camp as well. Not in training camp, in OTAs. They are gonna take Brandon Peely as well as a nose tackle who can alternate with Jonathan Hankins, and maybe if he performs well enough, he can push Hankins out as well. Yeah, so I'd say Morris and Peely, and then Mike Morris is gone when Riley Mills comes up the pup list.
Okay, I'm going to circle back to that. Because I have a different view on Mike Morris now.
Strong thoughts.
Strong thoughts. But let's go back to the offense, because we could talk about anyone that might be on the bubble. So quarterbacks, we know we're carrying 3.
Yeah.
Wide receivers, we've got 5 there. Are we thinking that's all we'll carry? 5. There's no real people on the bubble. It's just going to be 5 and practice squad, or off you go. Fine.
I think the offense needs one more tight end and one more offensive lineman. So we've essentially got, are we taking Salbert? And I think that's a yes, because of league experience and a really good scheme fit there.
He's a good blocker as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that frees up AJ Barner to be utilized as a weapon a bit more. And let's not forget, rookie year, 4 touchdowns. They won't want to see that regress. He'll be involved in that. So I think Salbert plugs nicely.
But then what's the point in having 2 fullbacks? And when you've got a fullback that can play tight end, that I just think that would be, in my opinion, a waste of a roster slot. Because if you're going to have Robbie Utes who'd start at fullback, but then you say Brady Russell, you're tight end 3, also can fill in a fullback when needs be, I don't see why you'd want 4. Because if we're looking at this now, there's 47 players on this roster. We've got 6 roster spots left. And I think there might be other players we want to look at. Like I said, there's already O-line. There's going to be more in defense.
Yeah, I think you're right, Josh. I see Russell as more as a tight end, and he can slot in at fullback, and with Utes the other way around. I think he's more of a fullback who can slot in at tight end. So yeah, I get your point, and I'm pretty down with that.
Happy with that.
Yeah. Okay. Which then, I was going to say, Chris.
I think that I'm hoping at least that they really kind of view the tight end and fullback position to be interchangeable quite a bit in this offense. I think both for masking and for overlap of personnel and roster spot sharing and injury luck later on. I do think that having a bunch of guys that can do both is what they're looking for. So I kind of group the fullbacks and tight ends into the same bucket when we talk about how many guys we're going to keep in that.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Look, AJ Barner, I think, surprised a lot of people with his catching ability last year, but he was predominantly brought on as a good inline blocking tight end, and he showed that he's got extra to that. So the only person that we've got as an out-and-out sort of receiving threat in that tight end room is Arroyo. But then you've got 3 other players behind him, 2 tight ends in Russell and Barner who can block, and then you've got an out-and-out fullback who can then step in a tight end in a pinch. So let's go on to the O-line then. We have 9. Chris, you said you think we were going to carry 10, which for me then leaves that bubble being Jarrell, Cable Jew, Richmond. So Because you mentioned it,
I
Chris.
think, I took the hint there. Sorry, I'm a little slow on the uptake.
No, that's cool. That's fine.
New guy. I think, based again on Jonas was talking about some of Brian's input or Hawkblogger's input earlier on Cable Do, and I think it makes it sound like the coaches are really working with him and really have an attachment to him for whatever reason. And again, this podcast is probably a week and a half early because we don't get any feedback from training camp. So I think it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out there, but to see where he comes up and where he ends up playing, who he's playing with, that sort of thing. I think that's the guy that I want out of this group.
Jonas?
Yeah, I think Kabadoo, I don't know. Can he play tackle as well? But because I think that they with this they are a bit thin at tackle because the only other tackle there is Josh Jones right now who can back up Abe Lucas or Charles Cross. So
Sundell can do tackle.
Yeah, Sundell's played all across the line
at a push. Yeah.
Yeah, Zabel can do this as well. Yeah, as much as I love Jarrell because I wrote a profile about him for the German Seahawks website last year and really got into his story, and I really like him a lot. But looking at the competition and why they drafted Kabadoo, I think they're gonna pick Kabadoo for the roster.
Mitch?
I would like to put Kabadoo and Jarrell in, and then remove one of them, and then come back when we're deciding on the final spot. Because for me, I wouldn't massively be surprised if we carried both. I do think 11's a lot, but that is a lot of talent there in those two players that they might want to. So I think that probably one of them gets cut right at the last, right at the 11th hour for me. But do we want to lock in 11 and then come back when we need to find a spot?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fair. They did keep 11 last year. I just thought that was kind of where they get the roster spot for the extra quarterback this year was off of that.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
Yeah, but
back onto
they
defense.
also took 6 wide receivers. So, yeah, maybe just have a look. We're going to have a look back at it.
Oh, we will. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So that leaves us with 5 positions left.
Defense.
Back to defense. Are there any of these linebackers so we've spoke about Jared Ivey, we spoke about Jamie Sheriff. Obviously, we brought back Tyreek Smith. Pat O'Connell's always there or thereabouts, but practice squad mainly. Josh Ross, as you said, Chris, with that Ravens connection. Is there anyone on the bubble that we think could sneak onto this roster? And I'll be honest, I can only really see us carrying one extra. As I said before, with the safeties, playing a lot of 3 safety looks, I can see us possibly carrying one more inside-outside linebacker.
Well, I watched Mitch draft his fantasy team, and if it was up to him, he'd keep all of them. I don't. I think realistically, I'd like to see Sheriff just because they made the effort to bring him back after it seemed like they wanted him back to begin with. He went away. They made an effort to bring him back, and it seems like they really wanted him in the building. That being said, I think Tyreek Smith's got the body profile and fit that they really want for that position. So we'll see. Again, the potential of Jared Ivey, but is he a guy that could slide onto the practice squad? I'm not sure. That's one of those guys that you want on your roster because you don't want to take the chance. But who else has to go in that case, right?
Great, Jonas.
Yeah, I'm struggling with this. I can see like the Seahawks need depth at inside linebacker, but they did slot Iman Wari in there as well a bit, and they got Spoon as well as maybe a rusher as a nickel there. I'm seeing the lack of depth at pass rush. So if it comes down to me, I take Jared Ivey if I'm honest. But that's just my take. It's really difficult with linebacker.
Mitch. What are you thinking?
It's so close. For me, it's Jamie Sheriff, but and I think the fact that they're trying to get him to be a bit of a hybrid, covering multiple spots, means that he probably has the advantage sneaking in on the bubble as an edge, as like the last edge rusher in the rotation, and also some depth at middle linebacker, and they can disguise him in some packages. Also, like I said, with him nearly making the roster and then going and getting a year's experience and then them grabbing him back because they obviously like his character. There's so many green ticks next to his name. Jared Ivey has the question mark of does his athleticism translate to the NFL, which 31 other teams didn't think it would.
Said no.
So, yeah, that for me,
Jamie Sheriff.
For that reason, yeah.
I agree. I think if there is any room, Jared Ivey might sneak on, but I think it might be trying to stash him on the practice squad and then hope that no one else or everyone else who overlooks him carries on overlooking him.
Exactly.
Which then leaves us with 3 spots, and we have cornerback, safety, and D-line. You can have one from each. But what are we thinking? Because now it's come down to these last 3. I'm going to ask you all a question as to your top 2 priority positions based on what we've got there. And Jonas, in fact, Chris, now I'm going to start with you this time. Out of cornerback, safety, and D-line.
Just because I'm always worried about injuries and just performance and the fact that the cornerbacks are on an island, I think that's the position. I think with the least amount of crossover, the least amount of flexibility, you can't really flex anybody to another position, I don't think. So I really think that's probably the position that we should add one on there.
Okay. Jonas?
Yeah. 2 spots left. So, or 3? I don't know. 3. Yeah, I'd say another cornerback and D-line as well.
Mitch?
Same as what Chris said and also what Jonas said. I think D-line, an extra body, which I think will be Pilley, and one more cornerback, which will be Pritchett for me. But Jean Charles got a great shot as well for that.
So based on the conversation that we had earlier, do we think Pritchett is there on the bubble? I know, Jonas, you weren't a fan, but Chris and Mitch?
No, I'm not a fan, but I'm taking the majority here.
Pritchett sneaks on.
Yep.
Safeties?
No.
I don't think, as I said before, we've had Ty Card on the practice squad before. AJ Finley, I just don't think he's going to be good enough to make this roster. And then Jarrett Reed, again, we can sneak him onto the practice squad, which then leaves our last 2 spots on this roster in the D-line.
We did say Mike Morris already, didn't we? Did we just not?
We said I didn't pick him purely because the conversation I wanted to have was around his current wasted potential, injury history. I know we all said when Mike Mack came in, we thought he could really unlock Mike Morris like he did at Michigan, but he just didn't do it last year. Now, that was partially down to injury, partially down to the fact that, you had Big Cat, who was playing so well that you couldn't really rotate him out. It was just let him keep balling out. I understand and I can see where you're all coming from with Mike Morris. And I do think he will be given one final crack of the whip until Riley Mills comes back, just like Jonas said. So I'm happy with that. And then what are we thinking? Because you've got Bohanna and Pilley are the only 2, in my opinion, that could make it. But I think Pilley
makes, I think he makes the squad.
Yeah. Final pick in our 53, Brandon Pilley. And then everything else we've got. So the 12 Talk 53-man roster for the Bubble Trouble episode. Quarterbacks we're carrying 3 in Darnold, Locke, Milrow. Running backs, we've got it down as 6, but there's technically 2 fullbacks. So 4 running backs in Walker, Charbonnet, Martinez, and McIntosh. Fullbacks in Oots and Russell, who also covers at tight end. wide receivers, JSN, Cup, Horton, MVS, and Bobo. And then the other 2 tight ends in Barnett and Arroyo. 11 O-line in Cross, Zabel, Oluwatimi, Haynes, Lucas, Sundell, Jones, Lemaya, Bradford, Cabledew, and Mike Jarrell sneaks in there on the bubble. Okay, and then before I say go, defense got 7 linebackers inside outside. So Ernest Jones, Tyrese Knight, Boy Mafe, Derek Hall, Uchenna Nwosu, Drake Thomas, and Jamie Sheriff, who slips out of the bubble as well. Cornerbacks were carrying 5 in Witherspoon, Woolen, Job, Griffin, and Pritchett. 4 safeties in Love, Emanori, however you want to pronounce that one. Kobe Bryant and D'Anthony Bell, and 7 D linemen in Big Cat, Byron Murphy, Jaron Reed, and then Tank Lawrence. That's another player. Jonathan Hankins, Mike Morris, and Brandon Peely sneak there on the bubble. And then special teams, Jason Myers, Michael Dixon, and Chris Stoll. How are we thinking about that? Or would we be happy to see that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want to see Tank Dell playing on our D line.
Well, no, he's gonna get even more destroyed.
Yeah, I was going to say
that.
Yeah.
In a wheelchair at this point.
Yeah.
The one guy I think that I would really like to see make it. I think as instead of one of those guys on the offensive line, probably if I had to move positions around, is Jarek Reed, just to get that extra special teams coverage and safety spot. With as much as they like to move safeties down in the box and kind of have a little bbit of extra backup in that room, I think would be a guy I'd like to find a way on there somehow.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. I mean, like I said, I'm a lover of his work. I think he's a fantastic young player, but he's just you can't rely on him due to the injury history, and that's the worst thing about it. So yeah, there we go, gentlemen. That was a heck of a ride, and I thoroughly enjoyed it with both of you, or all of you, Mitch, Chris, Jonas. Before we go, though, there is one thing that I would like to sort of give a shout out, as 3 of us are members, and we are the UK Seahawks official podcast. So you can join the UK Seahawkers for £12 for individual membership or £20 for a family membership for the year, £5 postage for each membership outside the UK. You get access to our meetups. You get 10% off at the Pro Shop. You're eligible for game day field passes in Seattle if they're available, access to members-only competitions and goodies, which included this year on Mitch's fabulous box, 2 coasters, our customary wristband, your 21-year anniversary patch, and then you get a lovely membership card as well that you can carry around in your wallet just to prove that you are a member. And then you can join us and these beautiful folk here. Look, who's that gentleman up there? Look at that.
A different hat. Oh,
yeah, it's all right. Me and you, hat
right.
twins, my friend. That's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely fantastic to have you on. As always, before we leave, we are also supporters of the Robbing Cancer Trust. If you want to follow the Robbing Cancer Trust and help them, Toby's still going through he's doing his big ballsy run. He has got, I think, the Colchester, another half marathon coming up very shortly. You can follow him at Toby Talks Bollocks on Instagram. You can also follow their podcast, which is Thrive Against Cancer. And if you want to support them even more, they've got a merch shop. Get in there. Go and contribute in some way and show your support as we do. But with that, gentlemen, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you all on. I've thoroughly enjoyed this, and I hope we can do it again very soon.
But thank you for the invite.
No, absolute pleasure, like I said. But if you are just joining us for the first time, by all means, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can stay up to date with everything. If you want to join us, you can hop in the Discord. The link is down below. And if you want to try Flying V Vintage Sports Clothing, you can use code 12talk for 20% off your order. Perfect. But with that, we always like to finish this pod with a very hefty Go Hawks. Gentlemen, would you like to join me? Excellent.
Most definitely.
On the count of three, then 1, 2, 3, go Hawks!
Go
Go
Hawks.
Hawks.